Hey guys, we're on Roots Week 12, day number 4 today. The passage for today is Luke chapter 10, verses 25 through 37. It's a familiar story, the story of the Good Samaritan. Instead of reading that to you again, I really just want to encourage you to read that on your own. So that's Luke chapter 10, 25 through 37. It's not very long at all. It's a very familiar story, but it's one that's just worth reading and thinking about again. Just to sort of talk about it for a second and sort of think through it, if I can just summarize the story. It begins with this man he's some kind of a teacher of the law. So he knows the Bible is what that means. And he asks Jesus, what do I have to do to inherit eternal life? And so Jesus asks him, well, what does law tell you? Because he's an expert in the law, so he should know this sort of thing, right? Well, he says that the law says to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. Okay, very good. Jesus says that's good. But then it says that expert in the law says that he wants to justify himself, and so he asks, and who is my neighbor? Now, that's an interesting question to ask, because to me that implies that he already knows that he doesn't love other people as himself. He loves some people as himself, but he doesn't love everybody as himself. And so because he knows that he actually falls short of the law standard, what he's trying to do is he's trying to sort of twist the Bible to make it fit who he is rather than the other way around. That's a very dangerous thing for us to do. We have to realize that the Bible is what speaks to us. In a sense, the Bible reads us. It's not just us reading it. And it's not for us to try to twist and contort it to fit who we are. We have to change ourselves to fit what it says and what it teaches us. So he wants to know essentially, well, God said to love your neighbor as yourself. Well, who's that? I don't know who that is. Jesus sort of makes this point. He tells the story about, the Good Samaritan. There's this man, he's walking. These robbers beat him. They take all of his stuff and they leave him out to die on the side of a road. A priest walks by. Priest is supposed to be a very high, holy person. The priest walks on the other side of the road, avoids him. Levite walks by. Levite's supposed to be a very high, holy person. Walks by on the other side of the road and ignores him. Then there's the Samaritan that walks by. And you have to understand that to Jewish people, which Jesus was a Jew, to all the people that he was talking to, they were Jews. Samaritans were like half-breeds. They were subhuman almost. They did not like Samaritans. The Samaritans didn't like them. They hated each other. They couldn't stand each other. But the Samaritan sees the man and has compassion on him and treats his wounds and carries him somewhere and pays for him to be taken care of. And so Jesus then turns around and says, well, who was the neighbor to this man? And the man can't even bring himself to say it was the Samaritan, probably because he hates Samaritans so much. He says, as the one who had mercy on him. He says, you go and do the same. And that's such a crazy thing, because what Jesus just did is Jesus took the person who was supposed to be the villain, the person who's supposed to be the worst possible kind of person out there, and he made him the example of what it means to love your neighbor. And it's as if to say, well, if that Samaritan can be a neighbor to somebody whom he hates, shouldn't you do the same in return? There's people out there that you're not going to like. There's people out there that you're not going to care to be around, that you don't want to be friends with. But God calls you to love even those people. And so be a good neighbor, even to the people that you don't like, even to the people that you think are wrong or stupid or just outright aggravating. Be a neighbor to them, because when God says to love your neighbor as yourself, he didn't put limits on who our neighbors were.